October, and the silence of the season brushed down my neighborhood street like autumn leaves, and I was crying. Elbow pads and training wheels, helmet tight to my skull, I eyed my opponent warily. A bike. It was a cheap one from Walmart, all blue and purple and red, with 3 gears, a basket, and streamers. The handlebars gleamed meanly in the sparkle of the afternoon sun. Each oiled spoke glinting like a knife, it was clear only one of us would make it out of this encounter. I am poised, waiting. On the top of my driveway and below are the rolling hills of my neighborhood kingdom. I hoist myself onto my bike, but I am afraid. I count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On 1, I impulsively push forward, an achingly slow second, and then I am rolling. I am darting down my driveway. My view blurs until it is only a stream of color. The wind is screaming, and I am flying. I am unstoppable, picking up speed faster and faster, and suddenly I am going too fast. A thumping, then a steady pulse of my brakes seizing, and then I flew, in a tumble of legs and arms over the front of my bicycle. Tumbling, stumbling, landing face first on the ground, head over handlebars. But before the mouthful of gravel and blood, I swore I was flying. I was not afraid. When I was a kid, I was never fearful of the dark, never afraid that something lurked in the shadows of my bedroom or a monster growled underneath my bed, because I had my countdown. A mantra in my head, I would count down from 5 every time I was afraid. Number 5, then 4, barely audible, whispered through my veins. 3, getting louder now. The number 2, whipping from my mouth like a spear. The number 1 was a sword in my hand, sharp enough to cut through the cloud of fear as easily as paper. I was a little warrior, conqueror, master of fear. When I was a child, I thought that fear and nightmares were the same thing. Something that was only frightening in my own mind, nothing worth worrying over. Fear is what I learned when I aged. The rhythmic repetition of a mantra had been replaced with the stuttering of my voice as I struggled to answer questions in class, replaced with the habitual fidgeting and uneasy twitching of the anxious. I'm not talking about the fear that we feel when we're watching a horror movie. Not the feeling that creeps in the dark when we walk home alone at night, or the feeling when you slide on a piece of ice and feel yourself hurtling forward, unable to stop. I'm talking about that chronic feeling, the one that itches underneath your skin and into your subconscious, just the vaguest sense of unease in your stomach, the feeling that you get when someone is staring at the back of your head. It is the feeling that you feel powerless to stop, the one that is barely perceptible until it has you surrounded, immobilized. It's not the kind of fear that protects us, it is the kind of fear that prevents us, that holds us back. I am afraid that I will live my mistakes billions of times without learning from them. I'm afraid of forgetting everything that I want to remember. I'm afraid to seek out happiness because sometimes I feel like I don't deserve it. I sometimes can't loosen the grip that fear has on my lips. I have felt words lay heavy on my tongue because I am too afraid to speak them, and anxiety, afraid to raise my hand in class, afraid to introduce myself as if my name was something to be ashamed of. I've become afraid of what other people think. I have let society's expectations and timetables pressure me, direct my destiny, peer pressure and people-pleasing, the prison of perfection, hesitation, desperation, expectation. I wonder what you think of me. I wonder if you can see my hands shaking from where you are sitting, if you can hear my heartbeat reverberating off of these chapel walls, fast and nervous and afraid. I know what it feels like to doubt. To have everything you believe in turn into questions, to be so unsure that even the answers don't feel real. I know that feeling. When fear feels more real than anything else, more than hope, more than happiness, more than the truth. When fear feels like reality. I think that we've been taught our whole lives to be afraid. And fear will convince you that you are not good enough. Fear will convince you that you are not capable. But all of the best things in life were put on the other side of terror, and being afraid does not serve the world. Here is the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen, but you shouldn't be afraid. Fear does not exist anywhere but in your own mind. Fear is a liar. It only causes us to believe in things that don't exist. The thing is, fear is self-imposed. You create it. It is an intangible, because you are responsible for what you think. Because fear in your mind only produces fear in your life. Nothing limits you except for fear. It represents the limited, the negative thinking. It seeks to contain you, to contradict you, to invalidate. Fear is nothing without you. Those moments when you feel so afraid, when your hands are shaking and your heart is beating so hard it feels like it might crumble in your chest, those moments have waited their whole lives for you. They are nothing without you, but without them, you are everything. So I challenge you, do something that you are afraid of. Don't let fear come near and suppress you. Don't let it hold you back. Be bold, share your opinions, be careless to what other people think of them. Be authentic, vulnerable, challenge conventions, and take ownership of your own life. Take action despite your fear, not because of it. When I am feeling anxious, nervous, afraid, I think of my first bicycle. I think of the feeling as I soared over the handlebars, my legs gathered underneath me, making rockets of my feet, when I felt like I was standing on the edge of something. And I realized it was one of the most exhilarating moments of my life. It didn't feel like falling, and it didn't feel like fear. I remember that it felt like flying. So I hope you learn from her. That little girl with pigtails and a crooked smile, the girl who thinks falling and flying come from the same stem. The girl who would count down from 5 every time she was afraid. And I have learned from her. And here I am in front of you, hands shaking, the distant taste of fear sour in my throat, and I think of my childish countdown. With each descending number, I tell myself that my self-doubt does not exist. I tell myself that the fear is only in my imagination, that it is not real, that it is only an emotion, only a product of the thoughts that I create. So I tell myself to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I am not afraid.